Texas has a habit of beating good teams, getting in position to be ranked, and then the following week they choke.
Goes all out. Carry, and this is into open territory. Harrison Whaley running away from the entire Texas defense.
I'm going to say South Carolina. I think
For the win?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cash Jones broke a tackle. They won't have to worry about it. Touchdown.
I'm taking Florida for the upset.
I'm also going to take Florida in the upset.
Play.
Mertz flips it to Johnson, and a long way to go. Slips a tackle, still running, makes a cut, and scores!
And welcome to All Four Downs. I am Joe Aguirre. Coming up in first out, we're going to take a look at Week 3. Georgia and Alabama both struggled big time. Tennessee out of the top 25 after a big loss to Florida that we called right here on this show. Both Ovi Muniz and I nailed that one. Ovi will join me in just a couple of minutes. Some big news. Obviously, Mel Tucker out at Michigan State University. He's been notified he's going to be let go. An ugly incident, the way that is playing out. Deion Sanders had his biggest win of his coaching career, and this week, the biggest game of his entire career. Coming up in third down, we'll give you the weekly picks. Again, we killed it here last week. And in the final whistle, we're going to talk about consequences. And boy, a lot of people going to get theirs, including former Florida coach Dan Mullins. And by the way, if you served this country, you're a younger veteran, let's say you're under 50 years old, join your local VFW. They're there to support you. You're going to find great like-minded people all around you, and they could turn you on to resources, whatever you might need. But please do yourself a favor. If you're a younger veteran or you know one, make sure you check into your local VFW. And speaking of a veteran in the local VFW, here's our man, Ovi Muniz. Ovi,
what an introduction.
Foremost,
Thank you.
Before we even get into football, just real quick, you're a member, right?
Yeah, I'm a member of the VFW.
Talk about it and tell these young guys what's in store for them at the VFW.
I'm a senior vice at the VFW 511 in New Britain, Connecticut, and we are hurting for younger veterans. And when I say hurting veterans, I mean we have the Vietnam vets still running the show and stuff like that. And again, we're here to support the veterans, their families. We do a lot of charity stuff, and again, a lot of local events. But we only could do so much unless we have veterans supporting one another. And that is our biggest struggle because our numbers are depleting and we just need more people to come. And I know the younger veterans, they got jobs, take care of the families and everything else. But, come to the VFW, check it out for yourself, ask questions. I'm here in the state of Connecticut. There are plenty of people to talk to and to know your benefits and pretty much support one another. And believe me, transitioning from the military to the civilian life, it's hard. It really is. And we're here to support. So please join your local VFW.
Unlike college football, great leadership and great support at the VFW for veterans, as you said, sort of returning to everyday life. And again, just for that connection of people that have been there, done that, can share your experiences. And as I said, you guys do a really great job of supporting one another. So come on out. And I'm sure they watch college football on Saturday at the VFW.
Oh man, they got, matter of fact, our it's rebuilt, remodified, everything else, new look. No smoking whatsoever inside the VFW. That's a plus. Um, Man, it's so much cleaner for one, and they do have televisions and definitely big fans of not only college football but also the NFL. So that whole weekend, and besides, you want a drink? It's cheaper. You want food? It's cheaper. Okay, where else you want to go? Want to play pool? Play pool. You know, but there's a lot of stuff going on every weekend at the VFW. So please. But speaking about, you said leadership. Um, Man, the firing of the Michigan State coach, Mel Tucker, gone.
And defiant as he's going out the door talking all sorts of nonsense. I want to be clear about something, OV, particularly when it comes to young men. If you're watching this right now or you're listening to this and you're under the age of 40, let me tell you something. There's not a woman on this planet who's gotten rich or famous by making up allegations against a man. It's never happened. Nobody. And outside of that Duke case many years ago, the Duke lacrosse players, and I want to say there was one other incident in the 80s. Generally speaking, when a woman makes an accusation against one of these high-profile guys, they did it. Michigan State has thoroughly investigated this situation, and they feel it's in the best interest of this university at this time in dealing with this situation to move on from Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker, by all accounts, has now proudly admitted he was being unfaithful to his wife in trying to pursue a consensual relationship with this woman who, as we know, Ovi, wanted no part of it. And as the man in power that Mel Tucker was, and again, right after he met this woman, he signed that monster contract. He's the face of the university. And for all intents and purposes, as a vendor to the school, he's her boss. And so, and this happens a lot with young women in this country, where they're put in a position where a man in power comes onto them. And you might be thinking, well, just tell the guy no. Well, there's repercussions, as any woman in your life will tell you. And so what Mel Tucker did was he abused his position of power. And for that and nothing else, this scumbag needs to be fired immediately from that university. Like I said last week, Obi, this is not a man who should be teaching young men how to become men, because Mel Tucker a few years ago absolutely failed at that task.
Yes, he did. He is the role model. He is the guy that goes to people's houses to recruit and promising parents, hey, we're going to take care of your child. We're going to give him all the tools that he needs. And nowadays, we see it on TV. We see their actions, their conduct, and everything else. That I think this year is the year where everything's focused on the head coaches. You talked about it last week with Deion Sanders. The year before that, you talked about Brian Kelly. I mean, it's ongoing, and people's colors are showing up, right? And it's bad business. It really is. And what happened to, what's that word? Sportsmanlike conduct and stuff like that. What happened to the conduct of being a leader? It's not there.
Yeah, again,
non-existent.
I think part of, you look at the coaches, the guys who, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they were at schools for 20, 30, 40 years. And every now and again, these guys would have a 5 and 6 season. They'd miss a bowl. But you know what? They were great coaches, great leaders, churning and graduating young men and putting young men into the NFL.
So let me ask you this. Do you think Kirby Smart should be in the hot seat for leadership role as well? I mean, look at, since January, they have over 20 cases of traffic violations.
Well, again, to me,
what are the programs are doing?
That is an error that program feels that they're not going to get in trouble for anything they do. And 100%, you're right. That's on Kirby Smart. He's instilled that attitude to these guys, or at least hasn't dispelled the notion that you still have to be a member of society, a role model at the university that you represent. These guys are failing these kids in a huge way.
I'll tell you another one. Let's take it back even in the game. The Tennessee versus Florida game. Why in the hell is a coach calling a timeout with 7 seconds left of the game? For what purpose, knowing you're not winning the game? There's still what? To witness another kneel down? Look what just happened. Total of 4 players got suspended, and they're going to miss half the game on Saturday because of stupidity. Now, I don't know what causes the fight and everything else. There was a brawl towards the end of the Tennessee and Florida game, but it had no purpose of why you calling a timeout. You should have just let it be and everybody be gone their separate ways. It's nonsense. What are you thinking?
It's funny. If I'm not mistaken, I think 3 guys from Florida
Correct.
are suspended. And
well,
you
they're
look
suspended, but in a way is they all 3 are missing half the first half of the game.
Right. Now, you're Florida. You're coming off a huge win. This week's hugely important for this program. And you're starting the game with a whole bunch of guys standing on the sideline till halftime.
That better be a close game. You better be winning.
You know, late in a game like that, a good, smart head coach will tell the players, no BS here. Don't retaliate. Don't get baited.
Right.
Everyone needs to be playing next week. And boom, here we are. And they're going to start that game with 4 guys. I mean, unbelievable. Again, yeah. This is... It's getting out of control, Ovi, and I feel like every week we're like pinpointing multiple incidents and it seems like the same programs.
It's the Brian Kelly look that we have, man. That's the look that we have every week, scratching our heads. What is going on?
Uh-huh.
Here we go. All right, hey. Here's the look. Here it is. Tennessee versus Florida. Again, I didn't understand why they called a timeout with 7 seconds left of the game. But then eventually, look at that. That's how bad Tennessee looked. Florida ran all over them. 29-16 was the final score. Here's some other games. Missouri upsets Kansas State. Oh, boy. That's bad for the Big 12. Finally, the SEC got an upper hand with Missouri handling business there, right? Alabama, yeah, they would have won, but there's some quarterback issues. There's no talent in the quarterback. I mean, what's going on here? Okay, 17-3 versus South Florida.
That's a real problem Alabama has right now. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, I said this last week and you disagreed with me. I said Alabama doesn't have a quarterback. I said Georgia doesn't have a quarterback. And I stand by it. I still think Georgia's got some issues back there. And listen, I thought South Carolina was going to keep this thing close. In Georgia's defense, you're now playing the high quality teams of the SEC. South Carolina is a really good program. That's a really good football team. They've won in Georgia before.
Yeah,
so
but that was a couple of years ago.
Listen, here's my point. Georgia is not as good as they were a year ago.
Their offense is a little less than last year. Absolutely. The defense is still there. But the defense stayed more on the field than usual.
It's a little less than it was last year. And I'm telling you right now, and Ovi, I'm going to say this for you right now. You're going to like this. I think Georgia has a very good chance still to go undefeated. I will say this. It will not be the cakewalk that it was last season.
I agree with that.
If Georgia gets complacent, if Georgia gets lazy, if Georgia rests on its laurels at any point this season, they're not as good as they were last year. They're a vulnerable football team, and they are a team that I think can be beaten. Last year's team, you could have had them play 30 more games and they would have just racked up 30 more W's. I mean, that's how much better they were than everyone else in college football. I think the best team in college football still.
Right.
But they're not head and shoulders above the other teams, and I'm seeing that now 3 games in.
All right. Before we move on to the next game here, Hector said, Hector Vasquez, who will be coming on the show later on of the hour when we talk about the NFL games, bad leadership can take a good staff and destroy it, causing the best players to flee and the remainder to lose all motivation. Was not to say that problems already existed, and probably that's one of the reasons why people get on the transfer portal to go somewhere else so they can feel comfortable. It's not about starting, is trying to find the right program that best fits for them.
Not for nothing, some young men are looking for a father figure. They're looking for that man in their life to sort of guide and lead them. And again, I think a lot of these coaches, as you said, are failing. And I think that's a big part of the reason some of these guys are leaving places where you're like, why would you leave there? There's a reason. They're not getting what they want. They're not getting what they came for.
The system is failing because, as we always said, everything's about money. But speaking about that, Texas and Wyoming. Look, you can look at the score 31-10, but that was not the case in the game. I'm not looking at that final score. What I'm looking at is what happened at the end of the third quarter. The game is tied 10-10. I said it last week. Texas gets complacent when they win big games. They don't perform right. Somebody put their foot up their asses in the fourth quarter and finally scored 21 points to seal the deal. But that was not the case the whole entire game.
It's been a long time since I've ever put trust in a Texas football team, because you're right. And they do find a way. And I'm sure before this season is out, Texas will have an L or two on the ledger, because they find ways. They're ranked 4th in the country. They're in a great spot.
I think that's a big jump, to be honest with you. I still feel that's a big jump. It's a huge jump. And we're going to talk about the rankings later.
I thought it was too big of a jump. And I think you're somewhat bolstered by the idea that Georgia had a close game. Bama had a close game, right? So
the week 3 Blues.
You get a pass.
I still call it on Texas. All right. Colorado, great win. I mean, they persevered. I mean, I think the head coach of Colorado State should have get a fine. I think the player that hit the cornerback, Travis Hunter, right? I think that player should get suspended, because that's worse than targeting. That was worse than targeting. Okay. Had no business hitting the guy, period. Was not. I can understand, you know how you disqualify yourself for targeting because you hit the tag, you led with your head. That was not the case. He purposely ran to the guy and hit him, and now Hunter is going to be out for at least 3 to 4 weeks, maybe so, okay? He should be suspended and not play a game. And for the head coach, should get a fine, because not only that, how many times have they thrown the flag at Colorado State for unnecessary roughness, for personal fouls? What kind of game were we watching? We're watching the Royal Rumble? Are we watching Survivor Series of WWE or something? I don't get it. I don't. However,
bad coaching again on both sides. On both sides, to the point where today, the quarterback in question, Henry Blackburn is this gentleman's name, Deion Sanders had to come out and condemn death threats being made against Henry Blackburn's life. Why? Because of this idiotic thing that Deion Sanders has instilled in the players at Colorado. It's everybody in the world's against us.
He's playing that theme.
And now the fans are taking it up a level. We got your back, Deion, and they're making death threats.
Well, let's see what's going to happen next week when they actually play against a ranked team.
This is football. Get serious. Honestly, you guys, this is getting stupid now.
Let's go to some positive notes here. Army upset at UTSA. They were favored 7 points to win, and Army said, not so fast, baby. Oh man, they took care of business. So big ups to Army. Woo woo.
Let me tell you
Coming
something.
back, baby.
I know most of us don't know anything about UTSA. They played a great season last year. They are not
Yes, they
as
did.
good as they were a year ago. Much like Georgia and Bama, UTSA.
Hey,
we're
when
not
you
all
give them
up on
7
it.
points and you lose that much, yeah, I'm happy. You know what's also scary? Florida State almost lost to Boston College. Boston College beat themselves and could have given them a major upset for preventing Florida State to reaching at least a taste of the college football playoffs.
This is another one of those teams that I thought was prematurely highly ranked. This might be a good. Listen, I'll say this for Florida
I think
State.
It's a great win. It's a lesson learned.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Obi. Listen, this is you lucked out and you left there with the dub. But wake up call. We're not that good. We can't just show up in Boston and win a football game. We got to play. We got to earn wins.
I won't say not that good. I would say
I'll tell you right
now,
it's either going to get worse for Florida State, or this is going to be the game that really propels them into maybe a magical run here.
They're playing Clemson this Saturday, so we'll see. Absolutely.
You better be up for this game. I'll tell you right now, because I know Clemson is.
Yes. All right, it's time for my top 25. So, those of you that tune into All Four Downs, thank you for your support and everything else. We have over 300 views on that video, and I want to say thank you so much for supporting All Four Downs. And again, we got nothing to do with the APs or coaches poll. This is strictly mine and how I see the game. Everybody sees it different, but hey, let's review and recap what I said Sunday before the other polls came out. Starting from 21 to 25. For the first time, I have a tie in my rankings. And yes, Mizzou and Syracuse, number 25. Auburn dropped down, even though they won, but their competition level is not there. Tennessee loses. Clemson and Washington, they move up around. They move up. Other teams fell off my chart, but here we go. 16
By the way,
20.
what does Syracuse have to do to get in and crack into the real polls?
Win this weekend. They got to win this weekend.
They're going to win this weekend, and they're going to win by a lot. I hope they're not even in the teams receiving votes category. Did you look at that in the polls? They've got nothing going on.
You know why I don't pay attention to that? Is because the APs and coaches poll got nothing to do with the college football playoff rankings. That's why, because they're always wrong.
Dumb.
They're always wrong. 16 to 20. Colorado, North Carolina, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah. Washington State and Oregon State played this weekend. They play against each other.
Wait, did you drop Oregon State in these rankings, or did you have?
No, they move up. They move up 3.
Okay,
they're 18. They move up.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you'll see the negative if they go down.
Okay,
but they move up. So yes, and you know what? This game is very important for those two. Okay, 11 to 15. LSU, Penn State, Alabama drops. I don't care what you say. Oh, but they still won. They still lost the game. Okay, forget about it. This is not the same Alabama football as before. Duke moves up. Duke comes to Connecticut, and I will be at that game while Duke takes on UConn. And Ole Miss stays the same. And 6 through 10, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, Miami, and USC. Yes, Texas, I saw the game. You're not deserving. Ohio State, you play nobody, but you blew them out like you're supposed to. That's why you are where you are. Okay. But watch out for Oklahoma. I got a feeling that they finally found their tune. I really do. 1 through 5, the only major change, Michigan and Florida State. So Georgia's still number 1, the 2-time defending champions. Notre Dame still number 4. Notre Dame plays Ohio State this weekend. We're going to talk about that game. And I've said it before, and I've said it before. Oh my God, I don't know how many times. I still feel Notre Dame will be 12-0 this season because Sam Hartman is the quarterback of Notre Dame. And that is my top 25. But let's do this in comparison. I purposely put the AP polls right there. You want to have Texas jump into the top 4, go right ahead. I still don't trust Texas. they got to show me something this weekend. Okay. Florida State, you drop Florida State and put Texas there. I say that's favoritism. That's all I'm going to say. USC has not proven to me at all. Do they have defense? Joe, do USC have defense?
No.
Okay, USC is like the old Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley's type team. They got no defense, but they can score so much points. I'm just saying. So I really disagree. You put Washington, who else? Washington to me is too early for the top 10, and Penn State. Penn State needs to prove to me that they could beat Michigan or Ohio State.
Yeah, they won't beat either one of those teams, which makes
It's a
putting
waste
them
of
in the
time.
top 10 stupid. It really
It's
does.
a resume type deal when you put Penn State up there. Unless they're going to be seriously and win, but they're mainly known for the run game. Yeah, they can pass and everything else, but I still don't think they got enough to even beat the bad part of Ohio State. Let's put it that way. Look at the coaches poll. Again, you got Ohio State at number 4. Why? Please tell me why Ohio State is number 4 in the coaches poll.
Somebody gave them a number 1 vote too. Look at that. One of the coaches actually looked things over and said, I think Ohio State's even better than Georgia.
Who, the head coach himself, Head coach Day did that?
It must be. Who the hell else would have done that?
Oh, man. Listen, I might be wrong with Utah, but then again, Pac-12, they shine at the beginning and they fall short at the end. And Notre Dame at number 9, I totally disagree. I really do. And
well,
that's it,
again, it'll be interesting to see Notre Dame beat Ohio State. It'll jive with your rankings, and it'll make both the AP and the coaches look stupid when that happens. Only you will have been right.
Maybe I should apply for the job and be like, hey, take mine.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. All right, it is time for some action here. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
It's college football betting. You'll see we've been cruising along for these weeks. And I got to say this time, Joe, you were right. I was wrong about the spread between Georgia and South Carolina. You actually beat me this week. But it's still more football. There's still more football. But you schooled me. And we'll start off with the first game, Rutgers versus Michigan. Listen, Rutgers, 3 years straight, they start 3-0. Fabulous. Congratulations. But does anybody know what happens after week 3?
Yeah, I know what happens after week 3. They have to play a Big Ten schedule, and then they lose all the games.
Yeah.
That's how Rutgers lives. I get it.
That's how they roll. We better go back.
100%.
Go back. They should have been like stay at the ACC or the old school, the Big East, right?
Yes.
Michigan's favorite 24 points. Jim Harbaugh returns back and coaches his team. Sadly to say for them, their game is only on the BTN. That's the Big Ten Network. But I'm taking the 24 points. Michigan's going to destroy Rutgers.
Oh, yeah. With Harbaugh back on the sideline, yeah, he's looking to put up about 60 points this week, and Rutgers certainly doesn't have 25 to 30 points in him. So I say Michigan covers this quite easily.
All right, Florida State versus Clemson. This is the game Florida State has to prove. Okay, yeah, Clemson lost to Duke in week 1, but Clemson since then has won 2 in a row. They're trying to find their identity. I still don't think they really found that identity yet. This is their second ACC game. Florida State, they're on fire. They got a rude awakening against Boston College. I feel like the coach will prepare them. They're on the road at Clemson. I'm taking the 2.5. Florida State beats Clemson.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do here because I'm taking the 2.5 points. I think Clemson does win this football game. I think they actually win the game on a late field goal to beat Florida State. So, yeah, and I'll even take the points. So, yeah, we're good. Clemson wins this one.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Been thinking a lot about that the last 48 hours. I've been thinking about this.
Woo!
Yeah, I think Florida State's got its head in the clouds still. And I don't think they learned their lesson in at BC this weekend. So I think they learned it here at Clemson.
I lost in this game. Bye college football playoffs for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oklahoma versus Cincinnati. I don't know Cincinnati. Honestly, they got a new head coach.
I know.
I don't know them. Oklahoma, they've been winning big, and I think they're disciplined. Beneval got them disciplined. I'm taking Oklahoma 14.5.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Listen, if this game is tied at the half or it's close, don't freak out.
God.
Don't freak out.
No, because they got the fourth quarter to score 21 points. Yeah.
Listen, I firmly believe that listen, I think Oklahoma's offense is too talented, and I think Cincinnati's defense has fallen off a little too far from when we were talking about that being one of the best in the country.
Right.
I think the game starts slow for Oklahoma. I think it stays close. I'm not necessarily fourth quarter, but I think in the second half, I think Oklahoma pulls away. I do think that they win the game by probably 20 when all said and done.
All right. Colorado versus Oregon. The hype is still there. You got two ranked teams going against each other. But do you really? I mean, all the hype is Deion Sanders. All the hype. I mean, you know what will be awesome? And you know what will be embarrassing? Let's put it that way. It'll be embarrassing if Colorado does come out winning this game, because Bo Nix, who is going on he's a graduate already, fixing to enter the NFL. All right. He needs to prove it. It's going to be on ABC, a national televised game at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He has to show up, right? And look at that over under 71 points. There's not going to be any defense in this game. And if that's the case, 21 points is too big for Oregon. I'm taking plus 21 Colorado.
Let me tell you something. If anybody really believed Colorado was a top 20 team in the country, they wouldn't be a 3-touchdown underdog to the number 10 team in the country. Okay. That said, I think that Colorado definitely gets beat in this game. And I think they lose this game handily. But I think they lose this game by about 17 points.
Oh, that's too much. I'm sorry. I'll still go plus 17 if you said that.
I'd
say 7 points.
I'm going to take Colorado with the points, but I think Oregon still wins handily. I don't think that they're going to beat Colorado by 3
At
touchdowns.
most, I say 10.
I think Colorado's offense is too good to get blown out.
Right, but the only question is that their defense is suspect even for the 3 games, all 3 games.
Yeah.
That defense has not held, and they lost their star cornerback. The heart of the defense is out of the game. And that's why I say Oregon's going to win. I really do. And even if he was there, I still would have picked Oregon to win the game. But the thing is, Oregon has the experience. And talking about the rankings, Colorado was ranked even by week 1 because of the transfer portal. Okay. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see this game. I really do. I can't wait. And I'm sure everyone else is going to watch this game.
By the way, you watched a lot of college football this weekend. So did I. Watched a lot of NFL games on Sunday. I'm sure you did too. How many times did you see Deion Sanders in a commercial?
Oh, man. The Aflac commercial.
Bro.
If you're on ESPN,
I've got to figure it out.
Or Fox, you always see Deion.
Deion Sanders either needs money or Deion Sanders is trying to make as much money as he can in the shortest amount of time possible. Because I don't know if Deion Sanders knows this. When they ask you to be in a commercial, you can say no.
Why? Why would you?
Some of them are terrible. Some of those commercials are terrible. And it's unbecoming of prime time to be in some of these lame ass commercials. Pick and choose better, Dion, is all I'm saying.
Well, let's choose better on this one. UCLA versus Utah.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go with Jace on this one. I know Jace is tuning in, and I will for this one. I'll go for Utah 4.5. UCLA won last year, but that was in California. This is back at home at Utah. I'm taking Utah. Maybe Cam Rising will play this game. I don't know.
I'm gonna take UCLA in the upset in Utah. And I'll even take those 4.5 points. And with the field goal they win by, it'll be like I won by a touchdown.
You with your field goals. All right. Ole Miss versus Alabama. I'd say this is a trap game. This is a trap game because of Lane Kiffin. I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. I think that, and I'll say it, I still think he still loves Nick Saban. And he got a lot of love for that man. I still feel like every time they play each other, he somehow fixes the game for Alabama to win. That's just my opinion. There have been times that have been a close game, and every time Lane Kiffin could have taken advantage and hit him hard. And it's like they ease off the brakes for some reason, and these ridiculous plays happen for Alabama, and all of a sudden it's lopsided. I don't trust them. But when Alabama doesn't not have a quarterback, and the way they played last week, I don't know how you go against South Florida and look terrible to jump in against a team like Ole Miss. But it's there, and I'll just say Ole Miss 7 points. Scratch that. I don't know. I might just take the over and 55.
Alabama's going to lose 3 times this season. Mark my words. I think this is a game that they are actually going to lose. I think things are incredibly unsettled in the quarterback room. I think Nick Saban, in his mind, just assumed one of these 3 guys was going to step up and just earn the job and just take it away. And it's not happening. And you can get away with it against South Florida. This doesn't fly in the SEC. Mm-hmm. It doesn't fly against Ole Miss. I'm going to take those 7 points. I think Ole Miss wins this game outright, but I'm going to take the 7. And this begins the misery of Alabama's 2023 season.
All right, I jumped the bandwagon with you. Let's do this. All right, Oregon State versus Washington State. I'm taking Washington State 3+3. It could be a 1-point win for Oregon or whatever. I think this is going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be neck to neck all the way. So 3 points, I think, is too big of a spread. Either or, a 1-pointer, 2-pointer or something, but it's at home at Washington State. Whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. That's how I see this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like Oregon State.
Trust me, I like the team too. I like both teams. I love them.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is a big game. I think Oregon State does win the game. I do think a field goal at the end does it. So I don't know what to do here. What do I call it? Just a push? I feel like that
it could be a push.
Nose, bro. I feel like that's going to be what happens here.
Why don't you take the over/under? You think it's greater or less than 56?
It's going to be 30-27. So I'll take the over by a point.
Of course, you will say some
57 points, and they win by 3.
If it was a 0.5, you would say 0.5 something too. All right, man. I'm straight up. Notre Dame will win this game in Notre Dame. Yes, they will win. I don't care. Look, you give Ohio State a favorite by default. Notre Dame wins. They're going to win big over Ohio State. Plain and simple. The Ohio State will go down.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame probably wins this by 2 scores. So, yeah, I'll take the I'll take the 3 spot. Great.
Iowa versus Penn State. I'm taking the plus 14.5. I'm going for Iowa in this game. Call me crazy. I don't care.
Yeah, I was thinking like Penn State 34-20.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a close game where Penn State does win by a field goal and Iowa still wins. I mean, you want to put the money on it? I'm putting my money on that 14.5.
I'm going to say Iowa keeps it within 14.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Within 14.5.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right. Last one, Arkansas versus LSU. I don't know what to do with this game, but I'll tell you this. It's an SEC game. I don't know if LSU is going to blow them out. I just go plus 17.5 for Arkansas.
I'm going to take LSU. I think they win it by 20. I think this is another one where you might be sweating. It might be like a 3-point, 7-point game going into the fourth quarter, but I think LSU, maybe a pick 6, some tack on points. I think they end up covering.
All right. And that concludes our picks. Let us know what you think. Who should be winning this game? Leave your comments below. Tell us again. I would definitely let everyone know what you said if you are correct. I won't belittle you. No. It is now time for the final whistle, and you got plenty to say. So, are you ready?
Oh, let's do this.
All right, here we go.
There are consequences for your actions, no matter who you are, no matter what your job is. Nick Saban doesn't have a starting quarterback this year. Consequence, Alabama's lucky to be 1-1. The Pac-12 is still doing better than all the other conferences. Still won't exist next season. 4 players from Florida and Tennessee were given suspensions for their fight. They'll serve those suspensions this week, right when their team needs them. Deion Sanders won another game, but his us versus the world nonsense led to Primetime today having to condemn death threats against a player from Colorado State. Mel Tucker wasn't just being unfaithful to his wife. He violated the code of conduct. He's going to be fired. All the while still claiming everyone's out to get him. Dan Mullins was a scumbag. He's no longer coaching. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But rest assured, there are always consequences, no matter who you are, no matter what your job. It seems like a lot of these guys have forgotten that important lesson in football and especially in life. Deion Sanders was on every commercial this weekend. So when people call him a sellout, I think these pathetic cash grabs are what they're talking about. To each his own. But don't forget about the consequences and the fact that karma's a bitch. Thank you so much for watching the show. For Ovi Muniz, I am Joe Aguirre. We'll see you next week for All 4 Downs.